Hello, hello, and welcome to my next tutorial video, which I will be covering how to create a bunch of window tags and how to export all of that information into a window schedule chart table, well, all in AutoCAD. And this is where, you'll have a symbol and you can use this, whether it's window tags, door tags, any sort of construction tag system, you can use this tutorial video to help you build that for you. So I'm going to start off with building an actual tag. That's where it starts off with, is building the tag. Now, I'm not going to just show you how to export this information to a table. I'm also going to show you how to use invisible attributes. And this is something that's really important to exporting all of this information from a tag to a table within AutoCAD. It's all about invisible attributes. Okay, so let's get started. So I have a floor plan here. This is the floor plan I've been using in a lot of my tutorial videos. So again, use any file that you are currently using. And I'm going to zoom in here. I've already got a tag started. So I've already got a little shape here, oblong shape here. And I'm going to use that as my tag, like the actual outside shape of my tag. So, pause the video and take a minute to draw the outside shape of your tag. Some people use octagons, hexagons, circles. I've used this shape. Okay, so after you draw this shape, the very next step is to create your first attribute. We're going to create a lot of attributes here. And to create an attribute, you're going to use the command ATT. And it's going to be the command @def, ATTDEF, enter. And you're going to get this dialog box that pops up. The very first thing to do is uncheck the box invisible. And also make sure that lock position is also unchecked. In fact, all of these. Make sure with the very first one, okay, only. You don't want any of these checked off, okay? And the next thing to do is go to tag. Tag means, what is this going to represent? What are you trying to tell us? What is the label, so to speak? I wish this said label. It means, tag is label. So the very first thing is our symbol, our window symbol here. Because again, I'm doing window tags here. So in caps, I'm going to write symbol. And in fact, also to keep in mind, the tag ends up being the column headers when you build and extract this information to a table. This here becomes the column headers in your table. So food for thought right now to think about when you're creating these tags. Again, they'll be your column headers. Okay, next is prompt. This means question. This is going to actually pop up to you. Literally, it's going to prompt you and ask you, what is the symbol? So that's what I'm going to say is, what is the window? The symbol means the window. So what window is it? Question mark. Okay, default, what is the basic thing that you always put in here to answer this question? Well, basic is W1. That is my symbol, W1, window 1, okay? Next is text settings. And I'm going to set up my text settings here. And I'm going to make sure that this is middle center, okay? That's something to really think about as well, is make sure that this is middle center. Okay, next is text style. Right here, text style. Now, you want to make sure that you have something selected that makes sense for your window tags. So unfortunately, if you don't have a text style that makes sense right now for your window tags, unfortunately, you're gonna have to click cancel, create that text style first, and then back up the video and restart at this point. So, I may have mentioned that. I could have mentioned that beforehand. My apologies, but, just food for thought now. You want to make sure that you're picking a text style here that's going to fit inside this text box. And I've made this text box here about 18 inches deep, just for reference for you. Okay, and so you can see here my text height is 6 inches, and I'm not using annotative text. Okay, so just for reference. All right, I'm going to click OK. Ready to go with my first one. And you're going to see symbol. That is the tag that pops up, right? Now, this is very important. Before you just stamp this first attribute down, you got to keep in mind its base point. We specifically said middle center for the text. So regardless of what you see right here at your crosshair, it is lying to you. Okay, so the middle of your crosshair is your base point. Now the base point we picked is middle center. That is also for the text. Okay, it's the same thing with attributes. So with my crosshair, in the middle of my crosshair, I'm going to snap to the middle of my shape. And watch, it's going to snap the middle of the word to the middle of my shape. It's not going to be like this. This is lying. There it goes. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This is really important with creating your first attribute. Okay, so that I have right now, and this is not going to really make sense right now. Just bear with me. We're going to create a couple more, and we'll write into a block, and it'll make sense. Okay, now what are you asking yourself here? What are you figuring out? Well, I'm working through my chart, through a window schedule chart. And if I pop up here an example of a window schedule, and I don't think it's going to share. Give me a second and let me share this. You just fast forward 10 seconds here. Sorry, it's going to build. It's just because of what I'm sharing. Let me share this now. Okay, so this is a window schedule example. Okay, and you're asking yourself, well, what do I need in my columns here, right? So my first one that I just did is symbol, right? And we filled in the default as W1. So the next thing I'm going to work on now is my next column, which is width. Okay, so that is what I'm going to follow here, and you follow whatever chart you're building in your end result. Again, whether it's a door schedule, a pipe schedule, whatever it might be. Okay, so here I'm now going to share back my AutoCAD screen. No, whoopsie, wrong button. Okay, AutoCAD is coming back now. Okay, so let's create our next attribute. So we're going to repeat the same steps. ATT, enter. And this is going to be a little bit different. We have a very important step here. The very first thing you want to do is check that invisible box now. Okay, we want this to be invisible when we write this to a block. This does not mean it's going to be invisible right now. This means it's going to be invisible once we write this to a block. Okay, so my next tag, again, I'm following that chart. So my next tag is going to be width. Okay, and again, I ask myself, well, what is the width of the window? And default is the smallest window type that I have, which is 2 feet by 0 inches. Same steps here, middle, center. Now, what I'm going to check is align this box at the bottom here, align below previous attribute definition, which means it's automatically going to snap this right below my previous one, which is pretty cool. And click OK. And so it snaps it right there below. Okay, and on to the next one. And now you're going to repeat these steps for every single column that you have in your chart. Okay, so I'm going to do one more here. So my next one here is height. So again, what is the height of the window? Whoopsie. There we go. And typical height here that I have in this project is 5 foot 0 inches. Again, middle center for justification and align below previous attribute definition and OK. Boom. Okay, so repeat that step now in every single column that you need in your chart. So I have in fact already completed that, and so if we fast forward here, that is this. Okay, and that is the rest of the columns that I personally needed in my chart, and that is all done using the exact same steps that I just did with the last 2 attributes. Okay, so you'll now see I have material, type, and manufacturer. So now the next step is to write this all into a block. And I put emphasis on the word write because we want to make sure we're using that write block command, not block. Okay, so make sure you're using WB enter for write block. Okay. And now you're going to get this dialog box that's going to pop up. And the first thing to do is use this icon, pick point. This is the base point of the block that you're going to make. And this is important because this is the insertion point that's going to happen every time you insert this block now. So base point. I'm going to pick the very middle of my tag, and that's pretty typical. And it brings back the dialog box. Next, select the objects. Click on this icon. And now you need to select not only the actual shape of your tag, but every single attribute that you have created. Okay, so every single one, make sure that you're getting every single one. I like to count the stuff. So I've got my shape, which is one object. Okay, so make sure that if your shape is multiple different pieces of object to kick together, keep that in mind. So together I have 7 things. And I'm going to press enter and double check. Here it'll tell me I have 7 objects selected. So that's just a way to confirm that you have selected the right stuff. And you can also see that it's highlighted to the left of this dialog box. Next, you need to pick where to save this. and what to actually have the file name as. This is very important for when you're using, because you want to use this for all your future projects to come. So you work on your next project and you don't have to do this all over again. Instead, you'll just insert your window tag block again right away and add all your window tags. And that way that next project at that step is that much quicker. So to do that, you need to click on these three dots. And these three dots will lead you to your files. So you need to pick the proper place to save this. I can't tell you where to save this. You've got to pick your own where to save this. Okay, so I'm going to personally save this here. And I've already started to do this. You'll see that here I've already got a couple files created here because I was doing a couple of test runs before doing the actual video tutorial. So I'm just going to resave mine over top of something I already have. Okay, so no, actually I'm not. I'm going to do this differently. And I'm just going to say, window tag. Again, we're saving this as a block, okay? So I'm going to say this as window tag. I need to reference this in the future. So that's what you need to ask yourself. Well, what am I going to look for in the future? Well, this is a window tag. I'm just going to call it a window tag, okay? And so maybe, I like to do big letters to attract more attention, window tag, okay? And I'm going to save it there. So make sure, not only in that step, you're picking where to save this block. So again, you want to pick it somewhere where you know you're going to reference it later, but you're also picking its file name. So please keep that in mind as well. Okay, next step here. You need to clarify that your insert units are correct, that you want that to be actually in inches or millimeters, depending on what you've drawn it in. So make sure that you're selecting the thing that you've drawn it in, the unit that you've drawn it in. Okay, for me, that's inches. Okay, and click OK. And all of a sudden, it's going to disappear and pop to your prompts. These are all the prompts that we filled out. So it's going to clarify with you, is all this information correct? Well, right away, I'm going to actually fix something. For me, my window type here is actually going to be a casement. So I'm going to fix that right away. Okay, so anything that you need to fix for this first window, do so now. But don't worry about it. If you don't know, just click OK, and you can always edit this after. Okay, so if you know anything to make a change, make the change now. If not, don't worry about it. Move on. Click OK. And there we go. Boom. There's our first window tag. So everything disappears. Every attribute that we marked as invisible has disappeared and is summarized into just this window tag. Pretty cool. Very cool. So if I select it now, you'll see in my properties here, attributes at the bottom. And it's got everything. It's got all 6 of the categories, all 6 of the columns that, or characteristics of the window that I needed in my chart. And all of those are here. So if you need to make any changes, do so here in your properties. And again, if you don't have your properties open, to get that open is MO enter, and you'll be able to get your properties open. If you don't want to do it that way, to edit your very first tag, double click on it. And that will open up your attribute reference. And that way you can edit this. Okay, so you'll see here an enhanced attribute editor. And you can edit anything. So let's say you need to edit the height, you click it here and you can just edit the height here under value. Okay, anything to do with text options, etc., you can edit here, and then properties here as well. Okay, so you can edit anything within the attributes, which is pretty cool. You're not stuck. It's very user-friendly to edit, which is lovely. Okay, so I'm gonna close that. So now we've created a window tag. Cool. Okay, we've wrote it into a block. We've got a window tag block. That's like kind of all of step number 1, I guess, or phase 1. Next, we need to add all of our window tags. Well, to do that efficiently, the very first thing to do is ask yourself, well, do I have any other windows that are just like this one? If that is the case, you copy this window tag right here, right now, at all of these windows that are identical. Now, I mean identical in every regard. Height, window, material, type, manufacturer, every single category that you put, or every single column or property that your characteristic you needed for the window. If it's completely identical, you copy the tag. If anything changes, let's say if everything is identical, but the type of window it is, let's say I've got a 2 foot by 4 foot window, but it's fixed. It's a fixed window type. That means I have to insert the block again and fill out those questions. And we'll get there. But right now, if everything is identical, copy this window tag, CO enter, select the tag. My computer's lagging. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, let's try that again. CO, enter, select the tag, enter. And I'm going to copy it by the window, center of the window. So that way I can just snap this to every other center of this window. So that way this window tag is in the exact same location at every window. So I'm going to snap that here because this is at windows identical. And I'm going to pan over and copy this now at every single window that is identical. So I'm going to snap this one here and then I'm going to recopy because I'm going to now grab this midpoint and snap to this midpoint. All right, so those are my 7 window ones, and you'll see them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I've already done this before, so I'm aware of these window sizes, and I'm very familiar with this project, so I know I have 7 of these first window types. Okay, so again, that is what I do for every window that is identical to every single property. Okay, moving on. Now all of a sudden I have my next window, and it's totally different in every regard. Doesn't matter. If anything has changed, this is the step to do, okay? So you're going to go to your Insert tab, and you're going to go to your Insert option, and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you will see, hopefully, your window tag that we've just created. So you're going to click on that, and here it is at your crosshair. So I'm going to line this up with both of these midpoints here, and I'm going to snap that into place. Now, all of a sudden my attributes pop up, which is super cool. So now I'm going to fill in what is different. So right away, what is different here is my window height. I know that this is a 5-foot window. Now also what is different is that this isn't window 1. This is now window 2 because something has changed. So every time, again, something has changed, it becomes a new symbol, a new tag, okay? Window material remains, and yes, this one is fixed, okay? So that stays there, and that's it, okay? And just like that, it's window 2. And again, if I need to go back and clarify that information, I can do so in my properties or by double clicking on the tag. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. Okay, one more time. I go to my next, this is a door. These are sliding glass doors, so I'm gonna ignore those. This is a door as well. This is a person door. So I'm gonna move on to my next window, which is here. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same exact step. Insert tab, insert button, and grab my window tag. And I'm going to find my midpoint here of the window and nice, move my nearest intersection here, not my nearest intersection, sorry, my nearest endpoint here and snap my tag. And again, what height of the window? It's still at 5, no, it's not at 5 feet now because this is attached to my sliding glass doors. So this is now at 6'10". My width of the window, I know that this is a 3-footer and this is window 3. And yes, it's going to be fixed and nothing else will change there. Okay, and there we go. There's my next window. Okay, so now you're going to repeat that exact same step, going all the way around your floor plan. And again, if anything changes, you repeat the step that I just did by inserting the window tag again and filling out the information. But again, if the window is identical, literally in every single regard, you copy it. So just like this one, I know I have 2 of these windows and 2 of these windows. So before I move on to the table, I'm going to copy those. I'm going to copy this one by this base point so I can snap it to this base point. And then I'm going to do the same thing to this one. I know I've got this window here, but also here, and they are identical in every regard. So I can copy. But if anything changes again, I go to the Insert tab and I reinsert the symbol. So that way this pops up and I can fill out that information. Okay, so repeat that step, going all the way around your items, whether again it's windows, doors, pipes, etc., whatever it is. Insert now all of the window tags that you need in your entire drawing. Okay, so I'm going to move forward here to this file. Boom, I've got all my window tags done. Okay, so if you can see surrounding around my floor plan here, all of my window tags are now done. Okay, so you can pause the video, do all your window tags, and then continue. So here now all my window tags are done. Now we are at the step of data extraction. Now we are going to export all of this data that all these window tags hold into a simple little chart in the click of some buttons. It's really neat. So once again, you have all of your window tags done. They need to be all done. Now we complete or move on to this command, which is data, extraction. Okay, you'll see it right there. And you're going to see, ooh, one of 8 pages. Don't worry. It's intimidating, but it's really, really simplified, and I'll take you through it. So very first page, yes, we want to create a new data extraction. So click next. And now this is going to pop up. So what it's asking you is, where are we saving this? It's asking you where you want to save this window schedule, basically. It's creating a data extraction file for you. So it has a separate table file, but it's within this AutoCAD file. Okay, so basically what I like to encourage you is to save this, to pick the point, pick exactly where this file is. So wherever your drawing file is, it's the same place where you save your window tags, the same place where, not where you have to save your window tag. You can save your window tag wherever you want. Same place, sorry, where this file is. That's all that matters. Okay, and so that's where this is. So I'm going to call this window schedule. I'll take a tutorial. This is just my window schedule. That's what I would suggest you call it, whatever kind of schedule it is. Call it the same thing as your data extraction and click save. And moving on here, you can see your search path here and click next. Okay, now we want to, now what it's asking you is, what information are we exporting into this chart? That's what this is asking, page 3, okay? And we want to export specifically only our window tags. So to clarify this list, yours might be longer, yours might be shorter than mine, who knows? I want to uncheck this box. And so that will narrow down this list by a long sum, which is nice. And you want to uncheck every single box but the tag that you just created. So for me, that's window tags. So whatever kind of tag you just created, find it in the list. That's what you want to keep checked. You want to uncheck everything else. Okay, seriously, everything else but that tag you just created. Okay, so click next. Okay, moving on. This is going to be a longer list. Now to narrow down this list, you're going to uncheck every single one of these boxes but attribute. Okay, so you're going to leave attribute turned on and uncheck every single other box but attribute. And then you'll notice here, these are the columns or the properties that we just created, or the attributes literally that we just created. Okay, so if there are any other attributes you have in your file here that you don't want in this chart, make sure that you uncheck them off here. That's very important. I personally do not. The only attributes I have in this file are the ones that I want in this chart, but that may not be the case for you in the file that you're working in. So you need to stop here right now. And you need to ask yourself, are these the columns that I want in my chart? If any of these things that are listing here you don't want in the chart, uncheck the box to the left. Okay, and once you're done that, click next. Okay. This tends to pop up. It's never given me an issue with the information that I've had in my chart. It just means that some of the blocks in the file will not scale uniformly, which means that option was not checked, which is okay. So I've never actually ran into an issue where this has made a problem in my chart. So I'm going to move on here, and I hope it is the same for you as well. Basically, what is that clarifying is that one of the blocks in your file is not scaling, and it's just basically warning you. Okay. Okay, moving on. This is your chart. This is your table. So you can expand this window by the bottom left corner here and use, or bottom right corner, sorry, and use that to expand it, which is super handy. So I highly suggest you do that. And the very next thing to do is you're going to uncheck the box here, show name column. This is the name of the tag. We don't need that because you can see that repeated all the time here, and I don't need that. So I'm going to remove that. Okay. And yes, personally, I want window count column because it's going to count all the windows for me so I can give that to my window person and they know how many windows I need to order. And then my trades then know where to install them all. So yes, I want the count column. So in this page as well, page 5, this is you building the chart. So you need to drag and drop here right now the organization you want for your chart. So for me, I want my symbol to start first. So I'm going to click and drag that symbol column over here. Next, I want width. I'm going to click and hold down, click and drag, click, hold, drag. Okay. Next, a height. So click, hold, drag. Material, click, hold, drag. Type, click, hold, drag, and then manufacturer. All right. And so that is the order I personally want. Now, not ready yet to move on. Next is, how do I sort out my rows? I want them to be in order of the symbols. So you'll notice that you can click on your column headers. And right now it's sorted out by count. I don't want it to be sorted out by count. I want it to be in order of the symbols. So I'm going to click my header of the column header of symbol once. And you'll see now I have an arrow pointing up, so which means in order alphabetically, technically, or in order of number, and you'll see that my window numbers have now sorted out from 1 to 9. And so if I click it again, you'll see the opposite, 9 to 1. Okay, and so you can do that on any of the ones that you want it to be sorted out by. Okay, so for me, that's simple. So play around with this. You know, you want to make sure that this looks good. You want to make sure that this right here is the actual chart you want without title. We'll be able to add a title in the next page. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This is the chart that you are building. Click next once this looks good to you. All right, and if there's anything you need to edit in there, like let's say, I'll go back for a second. Let's say there's something in here and you're like, oh no, window 2 is actually a casement. Don't worry, you can edit that information afterwards. Okay, so right now I'm ready, click next. And here, output options, what am I doing with this table? I want to insert it into my drawing. So I'm going to check that box and click next. Okay, it's going to give you a tiny little preview here of your table style. So I personally never create a table style. I'm personally fine with the standards. I just use the basic. If you want this to be more stylized to a certain font, then you need to actually create a table style, just like you create a text style, just like you create a dimension style. Okay, and I'm not showing that in this video. That's not what this video is covering. This is just invisible attributes, tags, and data extraction. But what I'm going to do here is actually give myself a title, give my chart a title. So here I'm going to call this caps window schedule, and you call it whatever you need. So there's other color settings here in the chart, but I like the default, so I'm not going to change anything else. I'm going to click next, and next it tells you finish, so I'm going to click finish, and you'll notice there's a little box now at your crosshair. I'm going to set that chart down. If I now zoom into the chart, you will see the table that we just created, and it looks exactly like the preview. So it's perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so that is how you create and data extract all of your tags into a chart. Here it is. You can scale it. You can use the scale command on your chart to make it larger. You can just make a different viewport for it, zoom into it, which is what I usually do, is just make a different viewport for it on my paper space and just zoom into it. So the last thing that I want to show you here is editing something. So you'll see here, I've missed a window. I do not have a window tag for this window. And in fact, it is the exact same as this window. So I'm going to copy it. This is the exact same. Information and everything. Copy. Okay. So I've copied the tag. But if I zoom into the chart, that didn't update my count. Not at all. I need to update the chart. I need to link the chart back to my tags. So you need to link it. You're going to type in the word link, I do, but the actual command is called data link update. So click on data link update, and it's going to clarify, are you updating the data link? Yes, I am updating a data link. And it's going to ask you now, which one? So now I want to click on my chart. I'm going to click on my chart and press enter. Just like that, you will see that number 2 turn to 3. And so if there's any information that you've had to have changed, let's say like the type, you go back to the tags that you have, you edit the tags, and then you go back to your chart and you use this command, data link update, to update your chart. That way you don't have to redo this every time. It will update it. This is attached to these tags. Okay, and that is how you can update your tags. And again, updating your tags, you can either do in the properties or double click on the actual tag. If you need to add a whole new attribute to it, let's say this window was different and I needed to add a 10th different type of window, that's when you have to redo the chart because it's only going to connect it to these attributes. If I have to add another one, that's too much for AutoCAD. You'll have to redo the chart. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, and that ends this tutorial video about creating the window tags with specifically invisible and non-invisible attributes and exporting all of that in attribute information into a data extraction table, all within AutoCAD. Hope you found something in here useful. Take care. See you in the next tutorial.